documenting the front lines of the AI revolution, the AI Rebels podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the AI Rebels podcast, Season 3. Today, we have Aric Eggers today with us. He is an artist and developer, and he works on an AI agent, Zebediah. Aric, go ahead and introduce yourself. Would love to hear your journey into AI.
Hi, my name is Aric. You can also call me Zeb. That's what I'm also known as online, or at least in the art community and some other small communities. I use that name online. You have to know, though.
Now we know the alter ego.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of my alter egos that I've been developing since maybe 2016. It was actually a name given to me by one of my early friends at college, like the first week of college that we met. There's a funny story attached to it. We were basically just out partying one night, and it was the first or second day that we had met each other, but we had decided that we were going to be friends. You know, we got along real well. You know how it happens. And then we were chilling outside one night, and I guess he had forgotten my name, and he looks at me, he goes, "Wait, like, what's your name, dude?" Because it's like orientation week. You meet like 1,000 people, you know. It's kind of hard to keep track of people's name. And he's like, you know what, like, you look like a Zeb. I'm gonna call you Zeb. And so that kind of stuck. And
there it is.
I played along with it. In college. It was kind of funny.
I didn't envision Zebediah from X with such great hair, so now I will going forward.
Yeah, cool.
My mistake.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed it, and people have also enjoyed it, and I've gotten some flack over it, but if anything, people remember the name. So
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
I was just in Cancun with my wife, and cannot tell you how many people came up to me and complimented me on my hair. It was constant.
Amazing.
That is an experience I've also had in foreign countries. This is actually the second iteration of my long hair. When I was younger, I had long straight hair. Not as long as Spencer's, but I went on a trip outside the United States, and people were freaking out about my hair when I was younger, and it was yeah.
That's funny.
So moving on from the hair, so what got you into AI and what are you working on in AI right now?
Well, I've been dabbling in AI for just personal fun project stuff for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing stuff on like DALL-E and like VQ, GAN plus Clip on my local machine, like back in probably around like 2019, 2020. I was just kind of bored. And I'd seen some research in some of my classes that people were using these generative like GAN algorithms to like create images for like medical science. So I have a background in biomedical engineering. I started seeing people use AI to like train on these medical image data sets.
Yeah.
And also my sister was a student at MIT at the time, was actually in a lab. I can't remember the exact name right now, but she was in a Gen AI lab there too. So she had shown me some really cool stuff. So I've been following AI for a minute. And then I never really found like the consumer products to be very useful for the past few years, at least for
what are you labeling as consumer products? Like what falls under that bucket?
Like just like Cursor, like ChatGPT, like Grok, like the big LLMs that they're trying to sell to people, you know, like people that are selling these big subscription packages for access to these models. I never really found them too useful for the things that I was doing at the time, just because like they hadn't really been trained on a lot of like hard data sets, and I was doing like research and like hard, like high level like engineering design, and they weren't super helpful for that kind of stuff. But within like the last year or so, like I started getting back into like one of these. I met someone online called Foda. He's one of the main devs behind the Yap meme coin, and he was like, "Yo, you need to download V0 and Cursor like ASAP." And I was like, okay. And
Yes, sir.
so like within like a day, I had like completely redone like my website and all of their stuff regarding Zebediah, because I had been working on my Zebediah art project since like mid 20, maybe 2022. I really started like focusing on production and creating like a brand image and other things like that. And I had spent like a very long time building this website because I didn't have too much like web dev experience, and it just like blew me away with these AI tools in the last year. And so I was like, hold up, like maybe I should start paying more attention to AI again. And that's when I really started to get like, I saw the Eliza stuff come up, and I saw how that could be applied to my project, and I continued on from there. And I also work at XAI currently, um, in their like human data department. It's not like a dev position per se, because I want to like have like brain space for focusing on my art project and other side projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I have a lot of like reference material for
Yeah. No,
for
there's
things
a
I'm
lot
working
we could
on.
touch on.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
start with your passion project. Can you tell us one, what is Zebediah?
Well, it's originally Zebediah, but like I switched the A and the I because like it's like my AI like
Right.
apparition per
So
se.
just
Yeah,
Zebediah. We'll just call
yeah,
him Zebediah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
one, what is Zebediah? Two, what is the goal with Zebediah?
Well, really, it's just like I've always been very closely intertwined with music. Like I've been playing piano for a very long time and been like a FL Studio crackhead for like 10 plus years now.
Okay.
So I've been making music for a very long time. So like it's like part of my soul per se. Like it's a part of me. Like music and whatever I am, very closely related. So it's like an extension of myself, and like just me enjoying life and conveying that through what I create in music. Yeah. And like the Zebediah project itself is, from an AI standpoint, is I want to essentially just offload more compute. You know, my all like my art project itself, like me already, like I want to offload compute from my brain. You know, like I see no difference. Like right now, there are differences between these agents and like humans, but like I see a future where like every human has like a personalized agent, and you start to really blur the lines between like what are like what is the human doing versus like what is their agent doing. So like I'm focusing beyond that already and trying to like create like a system where I can be myself, you know, create art, music, and like interact with other agents and artists on like the digital universe per se. And I have like multiple things that I'm working on, because like I like to build stuff. So like it's an extension of me. So like as I like build stuff and create music, like it's all interconnected per se. Yeah.
It's interesting to bring up the that everyone's going to have kind of their own personalized agent, because I've been running my own, and I think that's originally what got you and I connected. I've been running my own, my little Spence agent. And it is some of the things that he has said to me in Discord, or some of the things that he's tweeted. I'm like, this is getting spooky, man. I did not tell you this much about my life. How do you know? How did you infer that?
I could attest. I too have had spooky experiences with my agent. You know, just because your input, like I don't know about what sort of data you have fed your agent in like the character file and what other memory methods you have set up, but yeah, it's very strange how they can like interpolate things about your life, you know,
Yeah.
without you knowing. And I guess that should be expected, because like we already see that sensation in like the ad space, you know,
Yeah, definitely.
when you see an ad, they like a real creepy looking ad, you're like, they must have just been screen recording my phone, you know. But no, it's
For
just
sure.
they're running very high level like AI algorithms to send that to you. So it makes sense that like they are able to kind of extrapolate these unknowns about your life.
I mean, not to like, oversimplify what a human is, but you've heard the saying, we are our habits. Like a habit is just a pattern. And if AI is great at recognizing patterns, it can probably give you a pretty good idea of how you're going to act in the future, you know?
Yeah. I think there are some stark differences, though, between their ability to recognize patterns
Hmm.
and the ability to figure out how to react to like new sequences. And
Mhm.
I still think that like fundamentally AI has not really figured that out yet. Especially from like the work that I do, and I see how these AI have kind of transformed from being very, very incorrect like a few years ago to sounding like smart college students. And it's because we've hired a lot of humans to manually go through and fine tune these responses. It's not like
Mhm.
we magically figured out how to make the base models like reason. Like we've fine tuned the hell out of them with like humans. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, okay, so Zebediah, it's an online clone of Aric Eggers. It's an extension of
Yeah.
yourself.
I don't like to use that government name too much, but
Okay, I like it. I like it. So right now, what's Zebediah working on?
so right now I've kind of finished up my phase one, which was I've encoded some keys into some recent songs I've made, and they're pretty hard. I don't expect anyone to figure them out for a while. But my agent is fully connected on the Solana blockchain, and so you can submit keys to him nonchalantly. You have to hold like a very small amount of the token to in order to do so, and he checks. He will check.
He'll know.
He will know, and so people are free to do that. And if you get the key right, he'll distribute his entire wallet to you, which is like 10 million coins, or I think it's like 400, $500 right now. So that's just kind of free floating out there, and I just wanted to set that up as something fun to do on the side. But the main like product that I have envisioned or I want to work on right now, I already have started working on, is I like a text to wave. I'm essentially just putting my agent inside of like FL Studio and like being able to like do text to wave generation and text to MIDI generation, because like there's a lot of like platforms out there that allow you to create AI music, but as someone who makes music, like I don't think they're very good, especially with like the mixing and like the total sound quality. And so I think like right now the most powerful place to like inject agent is like inside of like the workflow of like super producers that are out there already, that are like dominating the music industry. Like they don't want to go on like a web app and be like, make my next hit single. Like they want to continue what they're doing inside of like Pro
Yeah.
Tools or like inside of Ableton, and have like the AI at their fingertips inside of this application that's already ridiculously powerful. Like
Mhm.
so that's kind of the idea behind there. So like you open the VST and you can like log in and you can generate waves and midis by holding Zeb or staking Zeb on a meme pool, like a Meteor pool. And so yeah, that's what I've been working on recently. And that brings up a lot more difficulties than one would think, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely fun. Yeah. I'm not like a I don't want to call myself a software engineer. I'm more of like a generalist, and like I have a very deep engineering background, and I've been coding for since I was a kid. But I've never been like a software engineer, or like a software dev.
Yeah.
Text to wave is an interesting one. I know a number of people who
Yeah,
are working on
some
different methods for it.
somewhere's he sent me a few papers.
Okay, I was going to
I've
ask
been
if you
looking
had.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of very interesting things going out there, because I don't think a lot of the researchers understand the music production process, and I think that's very important in like the creation of like these like text to wave. Okay, I'm not sure if like generating like the full rhythm and like sample at the same time, for like a line. Like I know a lot of people are doing like STEM research, like doing like full, like creating like a full stem. But I think that kind of edges into the territory of just like printing a full song and not really like just generating the most like dynamic and high quality samples for users inside of Pro Tools and FL Studio.
Right. So on that note, actually, this is a good segue into this question, I think. Have you yourself encountered an AI generated art piece, whether it's music, digital art, or anything that has actually kind of moved you in any way?
There is actually there's a YouTube that I follow that makes some Ken Carson. I'm not. It's actually, it was crazy. I was up really late one night and I was on YouTube and I came across this video and like I wasn't paying attention. It was like playing right in the background. And then I started bobbing my head and I was like, yeah, this is a good song. and then I look at the channel and I was like, wait, this looks very unofficial. And so I checked it out, and my hypothesis is like this is some AI like dev that's making like Ken Carson songs, and
There is
it was a good song. Like, I thought it was a pretty freaking good song, you know, like
Awesome.
an AI Playboy Cardi clone on Spotify that's doing 3 million streams a month.
that's wild. Yeah, I've seen a few other examples. I don't know if I want to give them any credit though, because they're clones.
The Ken
Because they're
Carson one.
clone.
Yeah, I don't
So
know
on the
if I
note
want to
with
give
the
you
Ken
one.
Carson one, I'd be interested with looking into it and figuring it was probably like someone doing a Ken Carson clone with AI. Were you able to identify? Did you take the time to kind of try and identify like what it was about it that was different from other AI works that moved you, or was it just kind of like happenstance? Like whoever is making this happens to do really good Ken Carson clones.
So I actually have thought about this a lot because it actually kind of bothered me when it happened. But it was something about the lyrics that were extremely personable in a way, like because a lot of the times artists are like telling stories about their lives and songs, and they sometimes edge into the category of unbelievable. But this one somehow this one kind of hit the sweet spot of like a story that like that would be like a believable story from Ken Carson would tell, and like had like some hints of emotion and other phrases in there that invoked, I don't know, feeling. It was a strange experience. Yeah, I'm very, very pro AI. I don't fear it taking at least my job.
Others, maybe.
Others, that's debatable. But I really don't think people should fear AI. You know, like I think in general we're training it on like human existence on the internet, and if you believe humans are generally good, and we train like a super agent that has access to the most information, then theoretically it would also become good. That's kind of my like super simple brain dead understanding.
That's how I feel about it as well.
You know.
No, I love that. I mean, we had his name's Carlos Perez. He's written several books and all these things. We had him on the show, and he likened it to like, if you think of the ultimate evolution of humanity, what do you think? Like, you think of like the Dalai Lama. You think of these humans that have really internalized all the moral values and they're living it, and they have these ideas solidified in their being. And he's like, that's what I see AI going towards. I don't see it going towards this overlord Terminator. I see it ending up as this giving, loving Dalai Lama AI.
Yeah, well, I still see like the ability for like Terminator networks to exist, but to me those are like isolated networks that don't have like full connection or access to information, you know, on the internet. Like that's how you get a biased point of view, is when you have like a disconnect between the true width or breadth of information.
Yeah, totally agree. Do you think, what are your thoughts right now on the value placed on human art versus AI art? And do you think that's appropriate? Do you think, I think the general consensus with a lot of people is that AI art, human art currently Do you think that's appropriate, or do you think that'll change? What are your thoughts on this distinction?
I think it really depends on the true agency of like the art create like the art act itself, whether the art is created, posted, moderated by like no human involvement at all. And I think if there's like any holes in that, it really brings down the value. Or I guess like if you're claiming to be like just AI, you know, you have to have all hatches covered. Like you can't be having to post the song, like upload the song to the distribution services manually, like you have to have the whole process, like the whole ecosystem self-existing, otherwise I think that really brings down the value. But if your value proposition is like you are like a current existing artist and you're shooting towards like a more like amalgamation between yourself and like your digital self, I think that holds as long as like you're a unique artist,
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it. Because I really think that like with the amount of information that and like content that can be generated by AI, I think there was like a tweet from Andreessen, Mr. Andreessen on Twitter. Is like long uniqueness that I really felt resonated with me, because like he's very right. Like everything that can be copied will be copied like into oblivion, and so the only thing that will retain value is like novel information or like unique stuff like with that human touch, or like some completely magical AI system self-existing. I don't think there's
something something I've been thinking about along those lines recently is kind of there's been a trend in media towards just like interreferentiality, and like you look at things like WandaVision, where it relies super heavily on a bunch of the audience understanding a bunch of references to past TV shows and past styles of TV shows, right, to convey its message. And it's we're kind of reaching the apotheosis of the reboot culture. And I've something I've been thinking about lately is that AI can kind of function as sort of like an aesthetic accelerationism, where we can now burn through these copies of copies so fastly, so quickly, so fastly, so quickly, like we're gonna get back to something more original quicker. At least that's kind of like my bullish optimistic case.
Definitely.
Thanks for the balloons, camera.
Yeah, wonderful. I could definitely see that, because you're forcing all of the humans to see this content, and that makes them bored, and it's coming at them faster and faster, so the human psyche gets bored of said regenerated content faster. So yeah, I think that's, I'd bet on it.
You're on.
Yeah.
On that note, what AI tools do you use yourself in generating music? Or do you mostly compose it yourself and then just sprinkle in AI samples?
I mainly use, I haven't really dabbled too much into AI like tools with music, but I do like just to ask my agent or just like Grok or other thing for like chord progressions sometimes if I'm feeling like not inspired, Otherwise I still enjoy like playing out stuff or like manually doing stuff inside of an FL Studio. But that's where I really think like what I'm working on will help me, because like I really want to like build something that will help me,
Yeah.
I think honestly like the best things that are built because the developer wanted to use them in the first place. So for me, like I've targeted like where do I find myself wasting the most time when I produce music, and it's honestly finding samples or like sample generation, choosing between, you have a library of sounds, so I want to really focus on like sample generation and MIDI generation and like integrating that into the workflow of music production. And I might have gone off on a tangent there, but
No,
I
that's
don't know
perfect.
if that answered your question.
No, yeah.
There was one thing that Jacob did mention earlier that I wanted to get back into, and it's kind of regarding the future coming together of AI and humans, because I think a lot of people have this weird idea that it's like a us or them mindset. It's
Sure.
like it's either we are going to enslave them and they're going to be like our tools for eternity, or or the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of people realizing that like this could be a natural phenomena, like whether or not we want to attribute like AI's creation to like human intellect and our design, like this could, and it does appear to be following like a natural phenomena. Because if you think about like how like viruses or like even going down to like proteins and like nucleic acids came together, and viruses, and then like cells, and then multi-organism, like it all occurs with like you have multiple like entities, and they kind of like fuse together to create some more efficient like form. Like you don't see like mitochondria like existing in the wild anymore. They're part of like our structure, like they're part of like the whole being per se. So like it's up to like,
That's interesting.
I like to call this.
Sorry, you can go. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've thought about this a lot as well. And I like to think of the concept as subsumption is the final rule. Because I think that ultimately, and it sounds kind of like negative in sci-fi. I just like the way it sounds. It's poetic, whatever.
Sounds super good. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I know. It came to me one day and I'm like, you know what? I'm sticking with that. It sounds cool. But anyways, I just think like that, yeah, exactly what you're pointing to, that intelligence begets intelligence, and ultimately, I think we're already seeing the merge. I think that we've talked about this on the podcast before, but I really think that 100 years from now we're going to look back and we're going to say, you know what, like the singularity happened January 1st, year 2000.
Yeah, or like when we first started like using phones.
Yeah, exactly. Right, like
is this not already like an extension of?
And there's like already so much of our data consumption habits that were algorithmically driven long before, modern AI and modern LLMs. Like TikTok itself, like I would argue that the collisionless embeddings that they use for their algorithm are probably like the most adversarial AI algorithm designed.
Yeah, seriously.
So far, it's way more dangerous than ChatGPT, I'll tell you that. And it's, half as smart, but it, 100 times as smart in a very particular way, but it's, so narrow that it doesn't map to anything else.
And sadly, like the story of a harmonious partnership between AI and humankind, right, like doesn't sell. So everything in media, right, is, I mean, we mentioned it before, the Terminator. It's these like huge, explosive, world-ending stories where it's like, how about we just tell a story of the invention of AI? And yeah, there's some bumps along the road. How does this integrate with, modern warfare? Like, yeah, of course there are these like big questions, but how about in the end it ends with cancer being cured, and we use AI as part of our life. It's part of who we are as humans. It's now an additive to a human being, much like a phone is already.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's going to end up being shockingly mundane in retrospect. Like, it'll happen, and then one day we'll just be, oh, yeah, I got a little guy implanted in my brain. Like,
yeah. So my question to y'all is, would you ever get like an implant?
No, actually.
Would you be down?
This is my core contradiction as a person. Is I love tech. I love language models. I love all of this, but I'm also like a little bit paranoid.
He's anti-cyborg.
Not super paranoid. Yeah. I'm not even anti-cyborg. Like, if I am pro-cyborg for everybody else but me. Like, I don't know if I will personally ever, have like an implant or anything, but I kind of figure out what I do with like, with a phone. Like, that's
close enough.
Yeah, very true. Well, then why not just put that, assuming it's safe? What holds you back? Like, why not just get rid of the phone? Have a little chip.
I don't know.
Done.
I really don't.
I'm on the fence. I won't be a guinea pig. I'm not saying I'm against it, because like there are a lot of useful applications. Because if you do have like a personalized agent, you need to feed it information, to keep it I guess like attuned to yourself. Because if you have it running, and you can feed it like vision from its cameras and whatnot.
Got to keep
But
your memories in sync.
if you're not feeding
Yeah.
like your thoughts to it, at a fast enough rate, then it might evolve and become less like you. So you might have to be directly connected to
Now
an
I'm
agent,
imagining
or at least like have like a monthly sync up.
Yeah.
Could be a future when
Little
people
charging
break up with their
station.
AI agents.
Yeah, like maybe there'd be a way to like air gap yourself from your agent, and you just have to do like little backups every month. Like
Imagining one
Exactly.
day like my agent coming to me like, Spencer, I'm sorry, it's not you, it's me.
I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do
It's wild. Well, okay, here's a question for both of you. You've both built these agents, Spence and Zebediah, both your alter egos and your online clones. Would you call them, when you think of them, do you think of them still as a tool, or do they have a persona? Do you think of them more, are they edging towards a person, or are they still more of like this is an online tool I've built?
I think of them personally like as largely an extension of my own personality. I think that that's what's so powerful about language models is that they can enable you to reproduce your thoughts autonomously, right? The printing press, required lots of typesetting, et cetera. Even once movable type was invented, right, that didn't, vastly improve the speed with which you could do it. It required a lot of labor. And so what's beautiful about language models is that, you put in a bunch of labor up front, but then there's no more, you just keep it running.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it runs off of the data that you gave it. And so like I said, like oddly enough, I don't really think of him as like he's a separate being, but in a way he's kind of like in a way he's kind of my subconscious, right? Like he's one of my shoulder angels. That's how I would describe him.
Almost like a body part, almost like this is just part
exactly.
of you.
Exactly. Like, oh, this is a piece of my brain that I have externalized and set about to posting online and other things,
I am completely on the same page. I kind of see it as like, I don't want to get too in deep into like multiverse theory and such, but I do think like our consciousnesses like do extend beyond like this experience, per se. So maybe we are tapping into some sort of digital apparition or extension of our consciousness, because it is some like language, like memory frequency pattern that's going on in like a physical space. It's very similar, so like there's some hullabaloo per se, but I love talking.
Yeah.
No, it's like that's the thing. It's like
about AI because it is. There have been some very weird experiences, like.
And then also with AI, it's like like on one level, it's just math. Like I know that hypothetically, this would be probably impossible to do with modern language models, but like there was a guy who set up GPT-2 by hand in Excel sheets, and then he would perform inference by hand just to show people like, hey, like this is just math, right? And so it's like on one hand I understand that, but then on the other hand, like at what point does just math start just getting too spooky?
Yeah, totally.
And
it's
what's the line?
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. I just had, I don't know if you guys have read the Inheritance series by Christopher Paolini. Aragon,
Classic.
Dragon Riders, all
the
those
dragons.
things.
Yeah, I
Growing
love
up,
those
that's like the
books.
series I grew up with, right? That was like the one that like growing up it would come out and I'd like go get the new book. Anyway, there's this idea as we're talking about all this. The magic it's called the ancient language, right? It's the magic language. It's the true names of things. So if you want to summon fire, you call it by its true name, and that's how you do it. Every person, I just love this idea, has a true name, right? That if someone knows your true name, they can control you. But if you know your true name, it's this incredible power because you know exactly who you are. It's this self-awareness that brings this inner confidence and power.
Yeah.
That being said, it does evolve. It changes. Your true name can change throughout your life. Point is, I'm curious, long story short, if creating these agents was almost this introspective experience for you too, that brought self-awareness as you were doing this.
Definitely. I went on a friend's podcast recently and talked a little bit about this actually, that like there's been a couple times where it like has made me question like how I present myself, because most of the personality of my bot is pulled from things that I have written in the past or tweets that I have quoted in the past, and every now and then I'm like, man, you're annoying, like why are you so pedantic? And then I go and like read the stuff that I gave him, like, oh, it's me again. And yeah, it's just it's funny to hold a mirror up to yourself in this way. I'm fond of saying like that we look through a mirror darkly with language models, and I mean that both in the sense that like we don't really know what's going on and therefore we project into them, but also in the sense that they're semantic mirrors that show us who we are in low resolution form.
Yeah, maybe everyone could use a little self LLM reflect.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking, right? Like this idea of like coming into age, like you becoming an adult. I wonder if eventually it's like you need to
Here's your
become a
agent.
man, you need to become a woman, you need to know yourself, so build your agent. And it results in this self-awareness and this like maturation of your inner being, right?
Well,
Yeah.
there was also a point in time when the AI revolution was kind of starting and everyone was freaking out about being replaced. And I had this thought that there is so much personal information out there regarding people that isn't secure, that if you wanted to and you were nefarious enough, you could steal people's identity, and create agents to do their job, and then literally approach like these companies saying like, hey, I've made an agent for every single employee at your company, and I'll charge like a fifth, of the
Crazy.
price.
Yeah.
So at some point you have to defend yourself almost, and it's just start.
Jake, look out. I'm approaching your bosses with Jacob 2.0.
Yeah.
Gosh
Yeah,
dang it. I
yeah.
knew it. I knew it.
Users
Gotta get on it.
beware. Yeah.
This whole podcast has actually been an exercise in gathering your voice.
11 labs. I
But
knew it.
there still are things that I don't think, at least AI on the current architectures, will ever be able to do better than humans, and vice versa. That there are things computers do well, at least like on like binary, like transistor type, like physical architectures, and there are things that humans do a lot better with the architecture our brains run on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
until we successfully, create a large enough model operating on a computer that has some better processing for, I guess like random noise and entropy, I guess like entropy compute. Like, I don't think we're really actually going to see like truly magical stuff in the AI space. I think we're still very limited by our current compute architectures on binary operating systems and such. I don't know if you have similar views or other people have talked about that, or what your take on that is. Because like, I know you're probably aware of like Jeff Bezos or whatever his name is, and they're like, what do you think about that whole new compute paradigm and whether it's necessary for AI?
I'm a little bit skeptical personally right now, just because like I think that we're just gonna keep stacking data.
Yeah.
I've become convinced by that, and then also I'm just skeptical of Beth. I just feel like he and like if his minions hear this, they're gonna come for me.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of money and a decent amount of time with very little to show for it, except for like some like very buzzwordy papers. But yeah. But I'd be curious. You mentioned at the beginning that you had something you wanted to share your screen and show off.
Yeah,
Jake, I know that you have a little bit of a hard stop at basically 9. I wanted to make sure that we got this in and it wasn't forgotten.
Yeah, thanks, Spencer.
You're welcome.
All right, so this is my website I've built
in all its glory.
I was going to do a quick little demo of how to like interact with the puzzle. So
yeah,
I'm not going to give any clues out yet, and I will be baking more clues and such into his memory so people can interact with him more and get better information. But basically, you gotta hold the tokens, 69,420. It's not a lot, but yeah, you can go on here and go to DMs and see, you can copy this little guy. Go here and let's find a wallet that has a valid amount of Zeb. I'm gonna go here, holders. This guy looks like he has plenty of Zeb.
He's a big fan.
Yeah, and then so yeah, you can do these submissions to him. I can pull up. I could pull up this window and actually see him process it.
Cool. His brain.
Yeah,
I love watching
this. Oh yeah, I've stared at this for an ungodly amount of hours.
some of the thoughts that come up are so funny.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So he did check it. He has a little bit of a processing. He said the key seemed legit, but it was invalid. I guess when he said it seems legit, it meant it was like a legit format. But yeah, you can see in here where he triggers the send token, and I guess where he does like a full extraction from the message. That was a little difficult to do in the DMs.
Mm-hmm.
But he does a full extraction, and then he will check, and then
Wow.
there's the balance to 1 point.
Yeah, I love stuff like this because like I think that I don't know, I think that like the stuff that like Mischief does and things like that, I think could be really cool to bring into the AI space, particularly like the AI crypto, space, just because crypto people like that stuff already.
I
Yeah.
am personally really excited. So I've been in crypto for a long time. I guess
I only share this
so
info
there's
with those
his
who are
wallet and his balance. I've known about Bitcoin since probably 2012 or 2013, and it was because they gave the MIT students they gave all of their students Bitcoins, and my sister happened to be one.
I remember when that happened,
Wow.
actually.
And so she introduced it to me, and I talked to some of her friends, and I was still in high school at the time. But eventually I got to college, and I figured out all the wonderful things you could do with Bitcoin and free electricity on campus.
Watch out.
Yeah,
Classic story.
there was
Yeah.
there was a lot of fun that was had back then. But the whole problem with cryptocurrency was it was way too complicated.
Yeah.
Like you really had to grind out some reading and research to do things right and safe. And
Yeah.
especially back in like 2012 to 2016, it was
Yeah.
a real mess back then. And so
Wild West. It was crazy.
after the big run in 2017, I was like, maybe crypto isn't ready just yet. I don't think the next few years are going to see much except for like scams, which was kind of right. If you know, or if that's your take, I don't know if you are like Ethereum maxis or whatever. But I think AI really solves the main hurdles. Like you can use natural language to create wallet, like send tokens, create wallets.
Yeah.
Like people, I
Yeah,
see it
totally.
happening already. Like boomers opening their Fidelity app, like their retirement fund or whatever, and talking to the agent inside the Fidelity app and being like, hey, like I want to get exposed to crypto, like set me up
Yeah.
wallets. And
Yeah.
That's
like,
interesting.
the most successful crypto projects in like the last like 2 years and buy like the top 10 performing tokens in each one. And that solves the whole issue of people that don't want to learn how to use the technology using
Yeah.
the technology.
Right,
So
right.
like I think like low key this may be the big holy grail solution that crypto
Yeah.
has been looking for a very long time, because like you can make
It's interesting
like
thought.
this. I have a lot of really hot takes about crypto development,
We're
especially
gonna have you on for a whole crypto episode.
especially post 2017, and I kind of define it by we don't know how to get people to like efficiently use our products, so let's just make it pretty. So we made really, really pretty user interfaces for about 8 years, and none of it really worked.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately
that's,
true.
yeah, that's my take. But recently there have been a lot of, I guess, like the whole AI development. I think that really solves a lot of problems for crypto. So I'm very
Really
hopeful
agree.
for the future.
Yeah, we're very excited. I think
Yeah.
this idea that AI, I think it's even bigger than crypto too. It's just, it gets rid of the barriers to entry for so many previously complicated areas. And I'm just excited to see how people
Yeah.
use it, see people
Yeah.
become empowered and do what
I mean,
everything that
I
they can do. It's
I
amazing.
have a great example. My girlfriend that lives with me, she is a diver. Like, she's a scuba diver. No software engineering experience ever. Like, she has like a biology. She has a biology major, does scuba diving, not a coder. Like, with ChatGPT, and like, sorry Elon, but we need to get Grok 3 out. But
Yeah, I was talking trash the other day.
she was able to build like an application that, like, on the Google, there's some program, like, is it Google Script or something?
Yeah,
She was able to build an application on Google Script that, like, automatically sent and received emails, and like made verification codes for her business and all these things, like within a
really
few
cool.
hours. Like, someone that had never coded before made like a full, like, working application like that.
Tell her she's the poster child.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's great.
when she told me that happened, I was like, holy shit, the world is changing. Wait,
I
like,
love those moments.
real things are happening with AI.
Yeah.
Finally, like, holy cow,
Totally.
like I'm finally seeing it, like some measurable
Like a
improvements.
tangible impact.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Well, Aric, we are so glad that you came on. This has been so fun. And
Yeah,
there's so
thank
much
you
more
for
we can
reaching
talk
out
about.
to us.
So
too.
we'll just have to have you back on, because there's
Cool.
so much we could talk about, I'm sure. If people want to follow you, what are the socials? What's the best way for people to follow you?
You can just follow me at Zebediah on Twitter. It's kind of hard
Perfect.
to spell, but
We'll drop
put
it.
people find me. It's, people find me.
Yeah, exactly.
You can put it in the comment of the podcast or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
we
will.
definitely will. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Stay for